I moved into the old brick apartment on Oak Ridge Lane after my divorce. It wasn't much. 2 rooms, squeaky floorboards, and a heater that groaned like a dying animal. But it was mine. Quiet. Solitary. Just what I thought I needed. It had been a week since I moved in when I first saw the cat. A dull gray tabby. Thin and dusty. Sitting motionless on the front step like it had been waiting for me. It didn't meow. Didn't blink. Just stared. I crouched down and extended my hand, expecting it to flee like most strays. But it walked forward with deliberate calmness and rubbed its head against my fingers. Its fur was colder than I expected. Damp, almost. "Guess you're mine now," I murmured, unlocking the door and letting it follow me in. That night, it made no noise. I gave it some leftover chicken, set out a bowl of water, and even folded a blanket into a bed beside the couch. It never touched any of it. Instead, it jumped up on a chair across from my bed and sat, watching me, not like cats normally do, with laziness or half-closed eyes. This one stared like it was studying me, not blinking, not moving, just watching. I laughed it off the next morning. "Creepy little thing," I muttered, petting its head. It leaned into my hand. Its eyes remained locked on mine. Days passed. I named it Ash because its color. No collar, no chip, no one around the neighborhood claimed it. And I didn't mind. Ash was quiet, clean, and, despite my jokes about its stare, somehow comforting. But the staring didn't stop. Every night, it would leap into the same chair at the foot of my bed and face me. I even tried moving the chair to a different corner. That night, Ash moved with it. I was always fixed on me as I fell asleep. Then came the dreams. Not nightmares exactly, but unsettling. A long, narrow hallway. Flickering lights. Whispers in a language I didn't understand. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, only to find Ash sitting calmly in its spot, watching. I joked to a co-worker about it. "My cat's either really clingy or plotting something." She laughed. "Cats are like that, always watching. It's their thing." I smiled and nodded, but something tugged at me. That night, I left the door slightly ajar and peeked into the room after pretending to go to bed. Ash was already in the chair, staring at the bed, even though I wasn't in it. When I stepped in, the cat turned to face me slowly, its head tilted, not in curiosity, but like it had been caught in a lie. That was the first night I didn't sleep well. Still, I try not to overthink it. Maybe Ash was just one of those weird cats with strong attachment. Or maybe I was projecting my loneliness into something more dramatic. But something about its silence, its stillness, didn't feel natural. One morning, I found all the picture frames on the floor. Nothing broken, just face down. Ash sat nearby, tail curled neatly, head tilted as if admiring its work. I picked them up and paused. In the reflection of one cracked photo glass, I could see the room, me, the couch, and Ash behind me. Only its reflection wasn't sitting. It was standing, upright, still, watching. I spun around. Ash was sitting as usual, unmoving. That evening, I locked the cat outside. But when I woke up, it was back on the chair after that night. I couldn't pretend everything was normal anymore. Ash was always inside, no matter how many times I locked him out. I tested the windows. I even installed a new lock on the front door. Still, I'd wake up to find him sitting in that same chair, watching me. Something changed in the air around him, too. It was heavier, charged, like static before a lightning strike. I started waking up drenched in sweat, my limbs stiff, as if something had been pressing down on me all night. Ash never moved, but his gaze felt sharper now, almost intelligent, calculating. I bought a small night vision baby monitor and set it up on a shelf facing my bed. I told myself I was being paranoid, but I had to know. The first night I recorded, nothing happened. Just me shifting restlessly, and Ash in his usual spot, motionless. But the second night, something was off. At 3:12 a.m., the camera glitched for 3 seconds. When the image returned, Ash was gone. But I was still lying in bed, unmoving. Then the camera caught it. Eyes. 2 glowing eyes inches from the lens, staring directly into it. Then the feed, Cut again. I woke up the next morning to find the camera on the floor. Its lens cracked, wires exposed. Ash was back in the chair. I started having sleep paralysis. Every night, I'd jolt awake in the dark, unable to move. I'd hear faint scratching at the walls, low growls that weren't quite feline. Then I'd see him, sitting by the bed, his eyes shimmering with faint blue light, unblinking, watching. One night, I saw something worse. I woke up unable to breathe. My chest was heavy, crushed under invisible weight. My eyes darted to the foot of the bed. Ash wasn't in the chair. He was on my chest. But his body was wrong. It was longer, taller. His limbs stretched too far. His tail was gone, replaced by something bony and segmented like a spine. His face wasn't a cat's anymore. It was mine. It was my face, pale and distorted, staring back at me from a cat's body, blinking slowly. I screamed, but no sound came out. When I finally broke free, I scrambled to the bathroom and locked the door. I looked in the mirror and touched my face to make sure it was still mine. My breathing slowed. The room was silent. Then I saw movement in the mirror. Ash was behind me, sitting, watching. I turned. Nothing. But when I looked again, his reflection was still there. I stayed awake for 3 nights straight after that. I taped over all mirrors, throughout the chair, tried to keep every light in the apartment on. But still, Ash would sit wherever he could find direct sight of me, on the windowsill, on top of the wardrobe, even balanced on the edge of the open bedroom door. Always watching, always waiting. I called a vet. They told me to bring him in. When I tried to put Ash in a carrier, he didn't resist, but the moment the door shut, the air around me chilled. My vision blurred. The carrier trembled lightly, and I heard a low rumble, not a growl, but something deeper, like a whisper, a warning. I opened the door again. Ash walked out and curled around my leg like nothing happened. I didn't try again. One night, exhausted and broken, I tried to confront him. I sat on my bed and stared back. "What are you?" He blinked for the first time in weeks. His mouth opened just slightly, and I heard it, my voice. "Soon." I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. I started researching local folklore, demonic entities, haunted animals, anything that might explain what was happening. Most of it sounded ridiculous, until I found an old thread on a paranormal forum. Eyes in the dark, when cats are not cats. It described creatures that take feline forms, that latch onto vulnerable people. Lonely ones. Ones who won't be missed. They don't speak, they don't blink, and they don't leave. Until it's time to replace you. I stopped leaving the apartment. Not because I wanted to, but because I was afraid that if I stepped outside, Ash would follow. Or worse, something else would come in. Whatever lived in that creature had learned me, memorized my patterns. I could feel it, each night, getting closer to something. The apartment no longer felt like mine. The corners were darker than they used to be. My reflection in windows lingered a second too long. The ceiling creaked above my head when no one lived upstairs. I kept the lights on at all times, yet shadows seemed to move on their own. Ash stopped pretending to be a normal cat altogether. He no longer ate, no longer blinked. His body seemed distorted when I glanced too quickly, legs bending the wrong way when he walked, his neck twitching like it was made of wire. He climbed walls in silence, perched above door frames like a grotesque gargoyle. And always he watched me sleep, or at least tried to. I stopped sleeping altogether. I piled pillows in the bed to look like a body, set up the old night vision camera with a new SD card, and hid inside the closet one night. It was cramped, suffocating, and terrifying, but I had to know what Ash did when I wasn't in bed. The footage from that night still makes my skin crawl. At exactly 2:56 a.m., Ash entered the room. He didn't walk, he glided. His body blurred the edges, shifting in and out of shadow like static on an old TV. He paused at the foot of the bed, staring at the decoy. Then he climbed slowly up onto it and sat directly over the pillow where my head should have been. Then he began to change, limbs elongated, bones cracking in silence. His fur receded, replaced by slick, pale skin. Fingers emerged where paws should have been, long, human fingers. His face warped, not into mine this time, but into a twisted, inhuman imitation of a human skull. Hollow sockets, stretching mouth, no lips, and then he lay down in the bed, exactly like me, like it had practice. I deleted the footage. Every frame burned into my brain forever. I tried to burn sage. I tried cleansing rituals I found online. I even contacted a local paranormal expert. But the moment she entered the apartment, her eyes went wide. She turned to me and whispered, "You let it in. Now it wants your skin." She fled without another word. That night, I locked every door, every window, and stayed in the kitchen with every light on. But at 3 a.m., the lights flickered out. All of them. I stood frozen, heart pounding, flashlight shaking in my hand. Then I heard it. The sound of claws against wood, slow, deliberate, coming from the hallway. I backed into a corner. Ash emerged, but not Ash. It was a thing beneath the fur, 9 feet tall, spindly. Its head brushed the ceiling as it crouched. Limbs bent at impossible angles. Its hollow face twisted into a smile that wasn't made for smiling. It whispered in my voice, "You've been a lovely host." And then it leapt. I woke up in my bed. Morning sun was shining. The apartment was clean, quiet, normal. Ash sat in the chair, watching. Except I couldn't move. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My mouth didn't work. I tried to blink, and I couldn't. I was trapped. Ash, or whatever it was, rose from the chair, walked to the mirror, and I saw it. Me, standing there, smiling with my mouth, blinking with my eyes. It turned toward me, toward the real me inside the glass, and winked.